Welcome to Hockey Tap Podcast, episode 203, Overtime Madness in your Stanley Cup Finals. I'm your host, Bill Dino. Of course, here with two co-hosts, Little Steve, Shorts Guy. Schwimm's out gallivanting with his daughter of 1 year old. So happy birthday, Marina.
Happy birthday, Marina. Little M.
Yes.
Medium?
Yep.
Medium M?
Medium M,
20
lower M.
20 more birthdays, and then we can take her out for her first drink.
Yeah, you know how old we're going to be. We're brought to you courtesy of Prompton Radio, Mr. Sam Wu.
I'll be
I'm behind
62.
glass. Yeah, I know. I'll be 60. Yeah, that's such a weird number to say out loud. And you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
I'll be 45.
Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
Sure you will.
Please leave us a 5-star review if you'd be ever so kind.
Sure.
Steven, you might look even younger at 60 than you do now.
I hope so. I'm going to start dyeing my mustache.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I decided not to.
Not yet,
right,
Dean. Not yet.
Yeah. Boys, what are we drinking?
I'll have another 90-minute because it's a delight. I actually do have different beers in my fridge, but I want to drink this tonight, so I'm going to have it. And neither of you can say a damn thing about it. Okay?
I don't plan on it.
All right.
Guy,
Shorts?
why would I say anything to you? I drink the same thing week after week after week. I am the least
true.
adventurous beer drinker of the four of us.
I feel like
think I'm the
Schwimm's
most
is always the most. You are the most adventurous. Schwimm is always the most. You never know what the hell he's going to have, but it's probably
Yes.
going to be bad.
Yeah.
And then we wonder. How the hell it ended up in his fridge.
It is. And it was usually left there by some poor schmuck that Schwim just met on the street. It was a vagabond. And
Yeah.
left him a
Pretty
random beer. I and Steve and I got you a beer as well for Drecker. It's the small series, which we'll have. Maybe we could partake in this weekend. But I got Drecker. This one's raspberry peach brains, and it is a smoothie sour. This one has lactose. The other one does not. So I made sure to get one for Steven that didn't.
What was the other series?
Smol, SMOL.
That's fun. Is there a small animal on it?
It does not. It's a play on for. I'll show you later.
All right.
But it's got
Excited for
malt is pale two-row wheat and carafoam. Hops is Magnum, Hallerbutai and Blanc. Hallerbutai Blanc is a hop.
I think you're just making up words right now.
House ale yeast. The gimmicks: raspberry, more raspberry, peach, more peach, sea salt, vanilla beans, and the ever so horrible lactose.
Yep.
So I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm actually going to get a cup in a minute. But first, I wanted to get into our start of our thing, and then I'll let you guys go.
Hold
I'll
on.
get a cup.
I have not said what I'm drinking yet.
I thought you
Yeah.
did.
No,
the
I
F?
made a comment about not.
You did make the comment.
you know-
You never said what it was particularly. Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Let's see it. What are you drinking today, Shorts Guy?
It's just like dealing with a 7th grader.
I know, I'm the
Anyway,
worst.
I know you are. You really are. So after declaring victory in the Battle of the Yellow Flashing Lights, I put Mudhen 1883 on one side, and I've now added to the second side another keg.
I love it.
Cider?
Cold Crash cider from Pennings.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh,
I was actually just
yeah.
at Pennings on Sunday just for a little bit because we went to my mother-in-law's. We went and visited my father-in-law, but I stopped quickly at Pennings, grabbed a cider, and left. So I tried it was one of the bottles that they had, the special
Okay.
bottles.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you what.
so-
Not the beat.
Oh no.
Damn.
Economically,
Have you had the sour cherry cider they have there?
No. I don't think I might have
I had it, was
tried
pretty
it.
decent.
It's literally called
Brooke
sour
had
cherry?
something-
Because I definitely had
Yeah,
a
it's a
cherry one.
sour cherry cider. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll get it next time. We'll enjoy it.
It's definitely, from what I've recognized, it's so much more economical to buy the keg than the 6-packs.
Definitely the 6-packs, but if you can get a growler, it's only $25 for the refill, 64 ounces. So I highly recommend if you go to Pennings, get the growler and then just refill it.
That's a growler you can finish in one sitting.
Yeah.
64, yeah, we definitely could. Yeah, the 6-packs, right? They're like 25, 28, 26
$22.
They're
6 till
22 as well.
95.
That's not bad. Yeah, not bad at all.
No.
All right, let's know what's on tap for today's episode. Here's a weekly snapshot. Steven, I know you
Yes.
haven't been able to watch because you don't want to watch.
He's chosen
But-
not
Yes.
to watch.
I have to say, I think you are missing out on one of the best series that I've ever watched so far. And I know it's two
It's
games, and it could hold on. I know it's two games. So I said so far. I know it's two games, and someone could just blow someone out in the next three and get it over with. But these two games has pretty much everything built into a series. The goaltenders, despite I think the first game was 9 goals total, and the next game was also 9 goals. Despite the high scoring, I think both goalies have looked good and made saves that they needed to make in order for their teams to win. There's actually been defensive hockey built, kind of smeared in there, which has been kind of fun. I know that they score 5 goals in game 2 in the first period alone, which was very exciting. But then the next 2 periods are more of a defensive battle. Both games in overtime, and both overtimes were awesome. There's hitting and there's close calls, and just the amount of skill between these two teams is mind-blowing. And not just on the goals, because everyone sees the highlight of Connor McDavid toe dragging around Ekblad
was a
falling
nice play.
over, and then him passing to Draisaitl for one of the most beautiful goals you'll ever watch. But you also have other plays where Draisaitl goes between 3 guys, literally lacrosses the puck to himself once or twice, and then bats it down and gets around the three guys just for a scoring chance. Barkov has not been, I think, Barkov yet, but now he's going to Florida. He can have the matchups. So, I look at this series and I'm already pretty pleased, despite wanting to see someone different. But it's been a really good series, and I think for those that aren't choosing to watch or just haven't really watched, I recommend going back and look at some highlights, and you can find some of these games that do the 60 minutes really quickly. But yeah, Steven, I think you should take a look. It's been pretty
So
good.
why would you say that? Why is this the lowest viewed Stanley Cup matchup since 2008? Still, you just said
Well-
all of that good hockey, and we're at the worst viewership since 2008.
I think the two markets absolutely play into that. It's also a rematch, which sometimes people like Steven, right? You just don't want to watch a rematch because you don't like the two teams that are in it. You've seen this play over.
It's not even that I don't.
But this is-
It's not even that.
Well, you don't like Edmonton.
I don't particularly care for either team, and I don't particularly care to see either of them win. But I don't know what it is exactly that just doesn't draw me in. Like, I could always find something better to do, And as far as I understand the markets, for sure, yes, that's understandable. But it was the same markets last year, and it's markedly worse than last year's viewership. You would have thought, your casual hockey fan, is probably gonna skip this. But even your rabid hockey fans, it even looks like they're tuning out. I mean, I wouldn't call myself as rabid as maybe some of you guys. I still watch. I mean, I watch a lot of out of market games all the time, but I'm not like Schwim, who watches 5-6 games a night.
Well,
but
he's
I'm
doing
not-
something different. That's why he's watching. But yeah,
Well, yeah. So I
Betting
don't know.
helps.
It's just like I can't tell you exactly. I mean, when I went on my rant about like how I'm just kind of sick of this, and I didn't, I said what I had to say before the series started.
Yeah.
Even now, like I've seen some highlights, very cool. But and I see the the McDavid play was great. The overtime winner was not Marchand's.
the Marchand, yeah,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Um,
He should have had it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
what
don't know.
overtime
I don't know.
winners
It's
should be.
still not. I'm still not at all. Like I said, I'm not at all interested.
Do you think it has anything to do also with how bad the conference finals were? Because they weren't great, right? You knew Florida was winning, and
It's
then
not even the conference
Edmonton-
finals. It's like you got the first round. The first round, like we
was
said,
so good.
But I think that like that was part of like what friggin' Bettman wanted when they changed the whole format. Is they wanted like all rounds to be exciting. So that's why the
Yeah.
first round was like inter divisional matchups. But then you had the first round. The first round of these playoffs was the best by a
Yeah, it
landslide.
was.
And then it got worse the next round. It got even worse in the conference finals. And now it's just like maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just done with hockey because it's been so lousy for weeks now. You're talking 2 rounds, and now we're into the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
final. And at this point, it's just like, all right, can this just end? And now we're seeing the 2 teams from last year. It's the 3rd year in a row for Florida. So I'm at the point, and granted, my team, your team, has been out since they haven't been in the playoffs. So, I'm ready for the off season. I'm ready for like news to happen because
Yeah.
I'm over this. I don't think any of these matchups have been beneficial. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of bad blood between Edmonton and Florida, but it's not that bad. Florida's, 3 of Florida's top players are all playing hurt between Ekblad, Reinhart, and Kachuk. So they're, a husk of their former self of themselves. So they haven't looked good all playoffs. So
Yeah, I mean, Edmonton's without one of their better players in Hyman, and so I
Yeah.
mean, I think both teams are kind of hurt here, but yeah.
every team when they make the cup final, they're playing through injuries, but it's just
Yeah.
there's the storyline. The storyline to me is just it's not interesting, and I think that's why viewership is so far down. And I should be promoting it. I should be like, everybody tune in and watch this because hockey needs the viewership. I'm not
right.
familiar with how it is in Canada, but I know in the U.S. it's just like no one's tuning in, and I'm part of that problem, and I can't fix it because I literally they're playing tonight, and I'm probably going to find something else to do. I haven't
Yeah.
tuned in to any of it because most of the time I don't even remember that they're playing. So I'm just like watching something, and then all of a sudden, you guys are texting overtime picks, and I was like, oh, the game's on, and then I went to bed. So that was the end of that. So I
Well,
don't
Shorts
know.
guy, I'll let you
I
go
don't
in a
have much
second.
else.
Just on
Okay.
your thoughts on it, but quickly. So Florida beats Hurricanes 4-1. Edmonton beats the Stars 4-1. The Dallas Jets series was okay. Dallas wins 4-2. Edmonton, blows away the Knights, which 4-1. Carolina blows away
Never
the
interesting.
Hurricanes 4-1. Florida and Panthers, Panthers and Leafs was probably the last good series we had prior to this championship, and that was, like you said, 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So
And even that was, Toronto went up 2-0, and then Florida won 3 straight, and you're just like, all right, they're coasting.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, Toronto decides they're going to win a game. They already had 2 games in hand, and then you come to Game 7, and Toronto does Toronto
yeah.
things.
And that first series, obviously we know all the good ones that happened, but
Yeah, all of them, almost
maybe one of the
basically all of them were
series.
great.
Well, I was saying maybe one of the series that we thought was probably going to be the worst one, in Winnipeg and the Blues, ended up being the best. So that
Well,
kind of
Colorado-
tells you
Colorado,
how good
Dallas.
of a. That was good too. Yeah,
Colorado
I'm just said
Dallas
one
was
of the
awesome.
best, right?
Yeah.
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 You're right.
But Shorts, give me a rundown of the things, the series so far. I'm gonna go get a glass while you guys do this. And
Yeah,
then
you
we
do that.
will-
Yeah. Give me a rundown of your thoughts. I'm going to leave.
no.
Yes.
So I don't have
I'm gonna
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
it. But it's just got a little bit of
Yeah, it's a little
dirt
gross.
and stuff.
Schmutz.
I don't want to
Maybe
drink.
go
that.
Let's.
Yeah.
So I am looking. I'm looking this up, Stephen. But do viewership numbers include streaming numbers?
I don't know. I don't know how the metrics work. All I know is that viewership does not include. You mean streaming after the fact or streaming live?
Streaming live.
I would think so, as long as it's just a validated streaming service, like whatever Tommy sent us, that link dot whatever it was that he sent us. I'm sure that doesn't count.
Yeah.
But like HBO
Yeah.
Max, I'm sure is a stream because you're streaming it live. I assume so. If it's streamed through whatever app that you have for your cable, as long as it's live, I guess that's what it is. I know that the only thing is that doesn't include is Canada, so we don't have any of Canada's numbers. So Canada,
Yeah.
as far as I
Which
know,
is doing
they
well.
might be
They are doing
well.
record numbers for all we know, but that doesn't count towards viewership. This viewership in the U.S. is the lowest. I believe it said since 2000. Jesus, that's thick. I believe it said since 2008 is the lowest.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm trying to look it up now. If this includes streaming ratings, because I think that those, if it doesn't, those metrics are going to be skewed because there's so many people are consuming this media in so many different ways.
Well, there's so
And
many
that's
people don't have cable, so it has to include streaming.
exactly.
I
You
would
know?
hope it does. Yeah, for each person
Even
that
la-
tunes in
That's
to
what
last year.
BBC or
Yeah.
ESPN.
As long as it's live. As long as you're streaming it live on a
Yeah.
validated site, I believe it counts.
Yeah, I'm trying. The games I thought have been really good. I thought that first overtime period on Friday was phenomenal. It was back and forth. It was good hockey. It was good good goaltending. And both teams are kind of going at it. I think familiarity breeds contempt, and these teams are starting to dislike each other. And I think that's a great thing. That's going to make for a good series and a real good.
It's real easy to dislike Florida.
It is. It is
No matter who's
really
playing
real
them.
easy to dislike Florida. Yeah. I'm looking this up on the fly as I'm going. I don't know if this includes streaming, so I'm curious what that does. But and I did see something where it said that there was a ratings jump in Canada after the beginning of this series. So there's got to be. It's tough if it's not including the Canadian numbers, because I think that really skews
All right, here
everything as well.
So they averaged 718,000 viewers, a 27% drop. However, viewership in Canada surged for 2.2 million viewers, a 45% increase.
Yeah, so it's healthy, but again, does it say if it's streaming or watching on television?
Yeah, I mean they don't give me that much. Yeah,
Average everything that I'm reading,
2 million.
Everything that I'm reading, the way that it's written, it says, viewership. It doesn't. It's it almost seems like it's on television, which then at this point these numbers are really skewed.
There's no way that
because
this has been streaming's been a thing, like a primary thing. You'd say at least since the last 4 or 5 years, right? Most people have completely gotten rid of cable and do primarily streaming, and viewership has risen during the course of streaming becoming more prevalent. So it has to. I can't imagine it doesn't include streaming through whatever app. It's just like I said, it like ESPN app, HBO Max, whatever one of those definitely counts. Because I mean, you look at viewership for something like Tyson versus whatever the hell his name is, Paul. That's only streaming on Netflix. So you get viewership through that.
That's easy to measure, though.
Well, because it's only through Netflix. So it's whoever.
It's only through the one service.
But yeah, I figure it's probably easy to see. But also, like, what I also don't understand is viewership. How do you gauge viewership? Like, if I turn the game on for 3 minutes, does that count as viewership? Or is it percentage time in which it's being? I don't know. I don't know how the hell it works. I'm not going to pretend that I know how it works. I just know that it's down, and that which means that there's definitely a lot fewer people who are watching than they have in a very long time. Apparently, well, in the U.S. at least.
Yeah, which is a shame, because this has so far been, I think, a better matchup than we were expecting, and it's for people who love the sport. I think the games have been fantastic. Even if you were just to casually tune in, I think it would be great. Which is kind of surprising that it would be down, because you've got two of the big names from the Four Nations face-off, between Kachuk and McDavid, who were in the final, and they're matching up in the Stanley Cup final too. So it should be better than it is.
As far as streaming goes, now that I'm thinking of games 1 and 2, I think it was only specifically on HBO Max. So if nobody is subscribed to HBO Max and doesn't have cable,
it was on TNT, so you should have been able to stream it on TNT.
TNT has its own app.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it on in front of me now.
As
Yeah,
long as you have
me
a
too.
cable subscription, you can stream it, or
No,
you
you
can
can
pay for
actually
TNT.
just
I
get
have mine.
TNT. Yeah,
Who the
I
hell
have
pays
mine
for
through.
TNT?
I have mine through cable,
well,
but I know
it's
when
one
you
of
go
those.
to the NHL app,
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you have Max, you can also then sign it to TNT. I think because it's like cross-platform.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you just stream it on
Yeah,
Max?
I'm just saying.
I was
but yeah,
curious if it was just on
it's
Max, if there just wasn't a lot of Max subscribers, that could be playing a part. If it, like, they Max like monopolized the streaming, but I guess not.
Yeah.
it's there's got to be something there, and I'm gonna keep looking up, see if I
That
can
they haven't,
figure
but
this
they've
out.
only been on TNT, right? None have been nationally, like on major cable, like ABC or what are they are
No,
on ABC,
Yeah,
right?
they don't. The
no.
NHL doesn't have
Well,
that, right?
all
It's
on
Yeah,
ESPN.
we're
TNT.
It's
we're in game
yeah.
3, and there still hasn't been. And not only that, there wasn't like, not only has there not been like a true primetime game, like game 1 was Friday. I'm sorry, game
Mhm.
2 was Friday, and then game 1 is Monday. They missed the opportunity of having a game Saturday or Sunday in prime time. Even
Yeah.
early or late evening, or I'm sorry, early
Well,
evening or late
they give
afternoon.
them that 2 day. They give them that two
Well,
day.
because it's the longest,
Right,
right? It's the
travel.
longest
Yeah.
travel
Yeah,
flight, right,
commute.
that you can possibly
Yeah,
have. But still, I mean, it's still the scheduling. Like, why wouldn't you have one
yeah.
of the first? Because I mean, in theory, you could get through the first weekend, and if the team sweeps them or whatever, it's over before the next weekend. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I guess maybe like would Game 7 be like on Saturday or Sunday? I guess
It
I
is
can look at the
Friday,
schedule.
June 20th.
Would be Game 7. What
Game
about this
7,
coming
Friday,
weekend?
June 20th. This coming weekend, you are going to have a
Saturday.
Saturday. Yep, Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday at 8 on same channels. So I guess
So
they're
it'll
never
be
going.
Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah, they're never going. They're never going to show it on ABC. I feel like that's a first. I've never heard of that. I mean, maybe I didn't pay close enough attention to the last year's, but I feel like at least you get 2 games that are on a weekend or something, and they're on ABC or whatever the hell channel that they were streaming it on at the time.
Wow, that's quick.
Oh, it's goal
Panthers
already.
1-0.
They're good like that to be able to score very quickly into a
Brad
game, and
Marchand.
they can score in bunches too.
I feel
Yeah,
like Edmonton
like him.
has been. I want to know the stat of the ratio of Edmonton. First of all, also gauging on how many games that they've lost so far in this playoffs, which hasn't been. It's been five games they've lost so far. 2, 1, 4, 5, 5.
2-1.
They've
Yeah.
only lost 5 games. They've won 13, and I'm interested to know how much time has been spent losing, winning, or tied, because I feel like winning is probably the lowest number.
I don't know
Le-
where I would find that, but
leading,
yeah, that makes sense.
leading, I should say.
Here's something that I just found with we've spoken about a little bit here and a lot off air.
You know what, guys? I'll add to the viewership. All right, I put it on.
Hey,
Viewership
there's a
numbers.
I just found aside from a lack of big markets, which I hate that excuse. Oh, lack of big markets. It's like, yeah.
that's a major
ESPN's
factor.
coverage, ESPN's coverage of hockey seems to have ticked off enough fans that they don't want to watch.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's been horrible.
Yeah,
ESPN sucks.
It's been horrible
Uh,
since the first second it aired on ESPN. It's been terrible.
and ESPN used to be like the best place to watch. Like, Gary
Mhm.
Thorne and Bill Clement was that iconic duo where they were just like the voice of playoff hockey for years. And
Broadcast
it
crew
is
is
just
trash across the
it
board.
is just gone. It has just gone from that to crap. It's I don't know. I think they have to look at that. I think they have to take a look at everything, but depending on what their contracts
I don't
are,
think
and,
I don't think they're going to. When have you ever seen the league do anything right? And as far as marketing, TV, broadcasting, and I don't know how much this is all like ESPN chooses everything, or the NHL does, or it's like a combo of the two, or something along those lines. I have no idea. But either way, I mean, ESPN, when it was first on ESPN back in like, the 90s, early 2000s, whatever it was fantastic. And all of a sudden they come back. How did they come back and it's so bad? Like just immediately terrible.
It just.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
They're waving to you.
Yeah, it's everything I'm finding saying TV viewership, TV audiences. So if it's just listed as TV ratings, that can't include streaming.
No, because the streaming is on a TV channel, so.
It does TNT Sports.
Because it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense for streaming to be so prevalent for all these years now, and then all of a sudden now it's affecting it because people are only streaming. I don't think that can't be the case at all. It all has to include streaming.
Yeah.
It's something to find out. Something to keep looking at. Maybe someone can answer this out there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find somebody. Someone smarter than us. Score predictions. A couple of Max said 5-2 Panthers.
Max just sent me a picture. His buddy is at the game currently, and with a pretty darn good view too. So it's
not too
pretty
bad.
cool to see.
All right, so a couple other things, and obviously the series, as we get into it next week, we'll be a little further along, 3 more games, so we'll have a good idea of what's going to happen in games 6 and 7. But a couple other news, and then we'll get out of here. Do it a quick one because we'll go watch the game. Steven, some of us will go and watch the game.
Steven's that viewer that's going to just Steven's that
throw it over the top.
That viewer that's just going to throw it over the edge of being good viewership.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it's going to come out. Viewership was great. It was one more viewer.
Yeah. Steven getting his coach, Mr. Dan Muse, former New York Rangers assistant, a guy who I liked. I thought maybe if the Laviolette thing had gone well and he'd sit here for a couple of years, someone you could groom for a head coaching gig. And he wasn't, one of the guys bandied about all throughout the media. He got an interview and kind of just killed it. But Steven, you want to get into your coach a little bit, or I know you don't know too much about him.
No. I mean, when he was hired, like, it
was a shock.
I consider myself. I consider myself a well-versed hockey fan. Like, I know more than your average person, but I'm no expert by any means. But I just saw the message come up, flash on my phone about Pittsburgh Penguins hired Dan Muse as their next head coach, and I was standing next to my brother at the time, and I just I can't imagine what my face looked like, but I just all of a sudden I said out loud, I was like, "Who the f is Dan Muse?" Like, I had no clue, and I think Dubas did a really good job of keeping that a mystery, because he was not on anyone's radar. No one's radar.
Well, that's hard.
The guys you had on the radar, and you were talking about it. I mean, the one was Mitch Love, who people like. He's on Spencer Carberry's staff. He's kind of the hot name. But you had Jay Woodcroft, you had DJ Smith, and who was the other guy? It was 3 retreads. And I was like, if they hire a retread, I can't imagine any Pittsburgh fan being okay with this.
Smith, and it was Mitch Love. Everybody was pulling for Mitch Love because we had Woodcroft, DJ. Nobody wanted DJ Smith, but there was like a report the day before the hiring of Muse was, don't count out DJ Love as the hire, and everybody was just like,
Mitch Love.
Come on, please. DJ Smith. I'm sorry. It was DJ Smith, not Mitch Love. So they were basically saying that, like, it might be DJ Smith, and it was just like, wow. And nobody was thrilled about that. The Mitch Love thing sounded great, but along comes Dan Muse, and all of a sudden you start to find out about him, and he fits the profile of what they were looking for perfectly. So what Dubas wanted in his next head coach, Dan Muse checks every single box. Every single one of them. So obviously we have no idea how he does. I mean, he's done very well on multiple levels. as far as development, which they wanted, work with young guys
Exactly.
and developing young players. That's a big thing. He worked with Rucker McGroarty,
Yep.
specifically.
Yeah.
So that could.
Well, he worked
that could
with
be bad.
McGroarty. This was all through the National Team Development Program where he was with
Right.
Chicago Steel. But he was head coach. Rucker McGroarty, Ryan Leonard, Will Smith, Zeev Bium, Luke Hughes. He won World Junior Championships. He coached Yale, Sacred Heart University, Williams College, Milton Academy. He obviously has been assistant with 3 different teams: Nashville, New York Rangers. 2 different teams: Nashville and Rangers, where he led the penalty kills on both teams. Which he actually,
top 4.
Respectively, they were top 4 in both years. Yeah.
Both of them,
and Rangers were second best net penalty killing percentage in that span.
Also, with the shorthanded goals that they were scoring.
Yeah, he's 20 years, so lifetime coach. He's only 42. I liked him a lot, and it's another one of those. I could see the Sully trends where Sullivan leaves and he goes to another team, becomes head coach, and he does well. And I could think Muse would do the same thing. But my question to you is, this probably signals a full-on rebuild.
No.
Like I think it does. You don't. All right. So then here's my question to you: why bring him in as a quote-unquote retooled coach? He has no pull in a locker room with a big star. Sidney Crosby essentially now is a player coach. So why would you not be rebuilding?
Well,
you could still have Crosby and rebuild.
Like I said. Well, it's like okay. So I'll rephrase what I said. Well, all I said was no, but I'll rephrase what I said. It's still a rebuild, but like I've been saying over the course of the last few months, this is going to be a soft rebuild, not your hard rebuild where they blow it up. It's going to be the same thing where they're bringing in, they're trying to get younger, develop younger players, potentially take on more guys in like the Phil Tomasino vein, where they're, young guys, 23, 24, 22-year-old guys that either can't fit into a lineup because they just can't find a place for them, or the team just kind of, just pulls the trigger on giving up on their development, cap restraints, whatever it may be. Things like that they would use their draft picks to bring in more players, kind of like that, or trades sort of in the like Rucker McGroarty category. They're not going to go after Mitch Marner. Like, they're not going to make the big free agency splash, but they're going to upgrade, probably less so signing and more so via trading, to try and upgrade. Obviously, the defense needs a total rehaul. I honestly don't think they're going to do anything with goaltending. That bothers me, but this is just what I think based on what Kyle Dubas said. But Kyle Dubas is very open, very honest with anything that he says. He doesn't speak to the public frequently, but when he does, he says everything what he wants to do and when he says what he wants to do. And signing players, like you look at Ryan Graves didn't work out, obviously the Tristan Jarry contract not so good, but he has a plan and he's sticking to that plan. So at the time those signings made sense, but because they didn't pan out to be good players, and hopefully somebody like Ryan Graves could become a better player just because he didn't fit well into Sully's system. Because Sully's system is not easy, and Ryan Graves said right from the get-go that he is not used to this, and and not so many words saying that he wasn't very comfortable. So whether or not he can find some other sort of level to his game and potentially improve that left side of the defense, maybe. But to answer your question without being too long-winded here, I still don't think we're going to hard rebuild. I think Dubas was very clear about what he wanted to do, and I think it's going to be the same thing. Like, are they going to be a contending team next season? No, probably not. But like, everybody wants to fit the model of the Washington Capitals. They didn't draft as well as the Capitals. They don't have what the Capitals had, but they have acquired a lot of good players in some of these trades that they've made already. So hopefully those guys can develop, and then you can, bring in these younger guys. They do have younger guys and guys with some skills. So hopefully he can kind of bring them in and hopefully find places for them in the roster. So I think it's the same pattern that you're going to see through the course of this season, like I've been saying, and I don't think they're going to blow it up. Like, I don't think they're going to trade Rust. I don't think they're going to trade Raquel, because those would really be the only two guys you would blow up the roster, because obviously Crosby's not going anywhere. Malkin, Letang, they're not going anywhere. Maybe Erik Karlsson. I think both Erik Karlsson and Kyle Dubas would trade Karlsson in a heartbeat if it were possible, but it doesn't
I think
seem likely
it
that
kept
it's going
going
to be
up. I think
possible.
people could find room for that. Yeah.
So
I
he
do.
has, Carlson is in complete control of where he goes. Would he waive his no movement clause? 100%, absolutely. But of course, he's not going to waive a no movement clause to like
For a shitty team. Yeah.
go back to San Jose.
Yeah.
So, but you got to find a team that has the space for him on the roster, and Dubas doesn't want to eat a lot of that contract either. So it's like either keep him on and eat the contract that he's actually making, or send him out somewhere, maybe take on a bad contract, another bad contract. It's not an enviable trade by any means at this point.
All right. Shorts guy, I got something for you quickly, Max. Did you
Okay.
see the comment? Crazy fact: the Florida Panthers, Charlotte Checkers, the first NHL AHL team combo from the same organization since the Devils and River Rats. I saw that actually on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Probably was a Devils fan. So good on obviously Florida organization. Bill Zito is just top notch on GM, and he builds the whole entire roster, and including AHL because he finds those guys and can put them in there. But anyways, Shorts guy for you. And this will maybe irk some Devils fans, I'm sure. If Sheldon Keefe does bad, could you see a reunion with your old head coach? Obviously, Pete DeBoer, no longer a member of the Dallas Stars. He got fired pretty much because he's a shitty coach in terms of people with the Lautner stuff. But a guy who's been fired by 5 teams but has made 6 of the last 8 Western Conference Finals, 2 Stanley Cups, been to 2 Stanley Cups, not 1, obviously. Shorts guy, could that be a possible coach if something, if Keefe doesn't go well?
No.
Okay.
No. You're just assuming Keefe doesn't go well, and bringing in Shaw as the assistant coach is going to be really good. And you're also making the assumption that Pete DeBoer is unemployed in a minimum of 6 months. And I
don't think he'll have a coach.
He's not.
I think he'd be a half-year guy. I think if someone gets fired half of the season, that's the team is supposed to have done well. He could be the guy that gets that job.
Yeah, and I don't think that Sheldon Keefe is going to get fired come December. The Devils would have to be completely tanking, which I don't see happening. The answer to your question is no.
Yeah, there's not really the only teams that I could see fitting a DeBoer where it's
he hasn't won.
Now, I know.
He can get there, but he can't.
He needs a ready-made
something
team.
Happens.
He needs
something
to find.
happens when
He needs to find a. He needs to find a GM that just like doesn't care about his players, basically, and just is going to find the guy who can potentially, have the most success as far as a record and making the playoffs goes. But I mean, if he isn't like a giant red flag to GMs at this point, doing it twice, right? And let alone the fact that he can't get over the hump, but just like the fact that he's done this twice with 2 different goaltenders. But then again, Joel Quenneville just got hired, so who knows? I think it would be. I think, but DeBoer is probably. I honestly, I don't even think he's going to be a mid-season hire should somebody get fired. I think maybe they wait until he'll be on the friggin' ESPN will hire him to be an analyst or something, right? And then he'll probably find a job.
What vacancies are out there right now?
Just Dallas.
Yeah, just Dallas, huh?
Yeah, Marco.
And that's why I texted you guys immediately. Do you think Sullivan is right now like, oh, maybe I should have held out a little bit longer?
I was thinking that not
Dallas
just Sullivan.
Job.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
No, but
right?
like the other coach Sturm wouldn't have gotten that, right? Like Sullivan's the win now coach that everyone wanted to hire. If he had just held out for a couple weeks, he'd be taking Dallas and running. He would.
Yeah, but that's on Sullivan for taking a job before the season is officially over.
Well, it sounded like Sullivan had this in the bag like before he was let go. I feel like the deal was done before he was officially let go. So I think it's something like I don't think, to be honest, I don't think Sullivan wants to be that far because he's a Boston guy. I don't think he wants to be that far away. Barring. He had the opportunity to be there. If he's just looking for a job, beggars can't be choosers. But I think it was probably the best decision for his family and stuff.
And you wouldn't figure a team that goes to the conference final would fire their coach. Like that usually does not happen.
I mean,
Nah.
Lou Lamoriello fired.
Well, that's Lou. He's a little nutty.
When we're in first place.
Yeah.
The name's escaping me right now, but it's anything can happen.
And didn't not to change sports, but didn't the Knicks just do that exact same thing? And didn't they have like a really good run? I don't know. Was that like I don't follow basketball? Was
best
that
record in 25 years.
Well,
no, it was not expected. Best run in 25 years since
that guy had
the finals. Tom Thibodeau.
And by the way, he had the worst comb over ever.
Oh, he is. If you look at it's funny. If you look at his Tom Thibodeau, he has this gigantic bald spot, and if you looked at him like 12 or 14 years ago, he had this like black mullet. It was very funny. So yeah, it's keeps receding.
Is it like oh man,
Brooke saying she's nauseous on my take on DeBoer. I knew I'd get a reaction.
I mean, Pete DeBoer's next location will probably be determined by who is sitting in the row behind the bench.
You know what I can see? If Edmonton,
it always tends to be a very well endowed woman.
Edmonton?
If Edmonton,
LA,
if who's there? Knobloch. So if Edmonton, I can see as the organization that would absolutely hire him should the opportunity.
Because they don't care about the players. Yeah,
they haphazardly do everything. Everything in the organization is haphazardly.
And you got Bowman there. He's a real fucking idiot. Well, sorry to censor that one.
Yes. Speaking of guys who should have never been hired. Yes.
Garbage. Yeah.
Who did Vancouver hire?
As their coach?
They hired crud.
The assistant. They
it was Adam Foote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was going to say that would have been a good
Boston was Marco Sturm. You just said that. Obviously, Steve got his guy. And who was the other team?
By the way, Dan Muse,
we talked about
highest level of hockey he ever played was D3.
D3, yeah.
That's like
career coach.
Currently the only knock.
At 22, he went right into coaching from fresh out of college. That was his first job. You got to like it. Career coaches usually.
They currently have no assistants. So that is
neither do the Rangers. Oh no, actually, sorry, Rangers have two. We got Dan Quinn, and we have who's the other guy that you didn't like?
No, I actually did like Ty Hennis. Ty Hennis he's a skills coach. He's Sacco, right? So it's really Sacco. So Ty Hennis, I don't know what. I'm assuming he got hired to be the same position he was last year for Pittsburgh because he was like promoted to. I don't remember what type of whatever he was, but he was like a skills coach, right? His entire career. He's also a physician. He's also a physician. Real good guy for practice. He suited up often for practices. So real good, very, very to skate out with the guy. So very, very well liked amongst the players. Good guy. He was one of the guys. I actually was hoping that he would have come back because I think if out of all the assistants, he would be the one that I would have wanted back. But it is what it is. As long as the goalie coach is gone, I'm
fine. Lastly, Capitals coach Carberry gets to Jack Adams. He had his family come up. They were doing a little interview with him. Did you guys see? Last thing, did you see the Masterton?
Yes, I did.
I did not.
Sean Monahan.
Sean Monahan.
So Sean Monahan won the Masterton, and what they did is they set it up so that Johnny Gaudreau's a widow, Meredith, she came out and she said that they were going to do family photos, and she shows up the door and she has the trophy with her, and you could just see, the flood of emotion once again, and for a team, but really a player, right? This is one of Johnny's best friends, a guy he's played with in multiple stops and multiple teams.
He went there.
They were just
signed there just to play with him.
Yeah. They were best friends, best buddies, brothers, and you could just see that was a tough year, right? He got injured, and he introduces Meredith wherever she goes, and the kids, and it's one of those good things in hockey where we they do get it right every now and then, right? We always say
Yes.
NHL best sport, worst league, but they do get the things
Mhm.
right, sometimes, and it was a good thing to see. It really was. So anyone who hasn't seen the video, I recommend you go take a look and watch it. It's beautiful, and it's a good thing. And with Kraken were the other team. They got Lane Lambert. That was the coach there.
Yeah.
I knew there was another team, but yeah, beautiful. Go
can't
take a
believe
look.
Curious. I don't know who Dallas is going to hire.
Yeah,
No
I
idea.
mean,
I like Mitch
there was
Love a lot. I still think Mitch Love would be a great coach, but I don't know. I don't know about
not
that.
for a winner
'Cause
now.
they're win
Yeah.
now. Yeah, they're win now.
Yeah,
And I don't know like who's. I mean, it's going to be a retread. It's going to be
There-
maybe
there
it's,
were-
available.
maybe
You
it's
know
DJ
who's
Smith. Who knows?
available? Gallant's
Source guy?
available. I'm
That's
available,
true.
but I don't want to coach.
Um,
But Gallant's available. Talk about
so
someone that'll be a win now, but just can't do it. But
there were a couple names. Obviously, within the organization, they had a couple guys I think they wanted to interview, but I heard
isn't Hines available too?
Laviolette's. Yeah, Heinz was available. But I heard Laviolette's name. I heard a bunch of different guys. So who knows what they end up doing? But it's going to be pretty interesting. Jim Nill he's hired Lindy Ruff and Ken Hitchcock and Jim Montgomery and Rick Bowness. So he's not afraid to go after an old, a retread.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any Stanley Cup winning coaches available currently.
Well,
Is there?
Laviolette.
He won with Carolina, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was 20 years ago, so maybe
It was a
maybe look
very
maybe
long
look elsewhere.
time ago. But yeah, they had the four coaches or the three coaches on the bench that they thought maybe could kind of take it.
Oh, Nezardine. I actually really like Nezardine.
I like Nezardine
Yeah,
too.
that would be a good one.
That would be a good one.
Torts is another one that's available. Rick Tockett's obviously in Philly.
Speaking of 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You know what?
really the names.
What about
names
a
were up
Mike
there were
Keenan
Laviolette.
Torts combo?
Mike
That would
Keenan.
really
Yeah,
work
Mike-
very well.
Mike
With
Laviolette,
Mike
Tortorella,
Babcock as an
Gallant.
assistant.
Oh, Jesus
Steve
Christ.
Ott's name was up there. I would be interested in Steve Ott. Give him a
As head
try.
coach?
Right?
Hmm.
He's been
I
behind the
do.
bench
I
a couple
really
times.
do like seeing now. We're seeing all these players we grew up watching, but like when we were young. Now they're all getting coaching gigs, and I think this is very cool. I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one. This is very cool, but I think this is very.
Here's
cool.
a good one, and this
not
one's actually
every-
kind of scary.
Not every great player is a good coach too, which is
In
Yeah.
fact,
good. to see these guys
most
being
of them,
successful.
most of them aren't. It's usually the role players.
David
smartest
David
ones.
Carl, University of Denver, obviously won 2 national championships already. And he's won with the IHF World Juniors. That's a team you win now, but you also have pieces for the future that are really. That's a really good young team that is
but he's not
only
going-
taking better steps. I could
He's
see
not going anywhere.
David Carl. Why not?
He just
That's
he just signed he just literally just signed an extension.
But he could literally say, "All right, it's an NHL job. He's just going to go." There are clauses in your contract that allow you to go for a higher gig.
Mhm.
And is there
I
a
think it's very
better
unlikely.
job that you could see opening up in the next couple of years than the Dallas Stars gig? If you were a young up and coming coach,
That's if you want it. I mean, he
No,
may
but
really like
again-
his
maybe he just wants to
position.
stay in college.
He's-
Sure.
He may
He's
really
also
love his
expected-
position in Denver.
He'd also be yes. He obviously does. If he had multiple head coaching jobs that he turned down, and signing any team that signs David Carl, like they're not. Obviously, none of them are in a win now mode. So, like, would you join I think it's very enticing to get a win now position where you have a team that can definitely win the Stanley Cup, but the expectation is to immediately win the Stanley Cup. So if you don't win that Stanley Cup immediately, like then what happens? And then it could be a check mark or a bad check on your resume if you get hired by an NHL team with all expectations to win and you don't win. And you look at it and how long do you give them to win it? If they don't win next year, you give them another year. If they don't win that year, then sorry, you don't have a job
putting
anymore. And then
system stuff.
then what?
It's
I can see it.
that coaching gig in college. If you're doing well, you could be set for life.
You can look at Nick Saban. All right, perfect example. All right, my beer, Drecker's always fantastic. 425. So thick.
Always a 4.
It's like
I love
drinking
my.
a slushy.
Yeah.
You got cat hair in your mouth?
Need a spoon. Yeah.
Probably.
Melvin.
I love my Cold Crash, but I got to show you guys this. It's a glass with
There's a
many
beautiful-
different Barney Gumbles.
Beautiful glass.
Oh, Barney's,
Gumble.
yes.
It's all different.
it.
I know it's tough for you to see, but all kinds
No,
of
no,
Hey,
Barney Gumbles.
it does look.
By the
it's a
way,
beautiful thing.
the NHL's not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Happy Pride, everybody.
There you
Happy
go.
Pride. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Schwim. Happy birthday, Marina. You suck. See you next week.
Have the party McDonald's next year.
Marina's back.